Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Reverend Tammy Patzer. And today I'm really excited because I'm going to be sharing with you how to win the race. And what this is all about is how to achieve blue ocean authority and get massive media exposure. When you win the race, that means reach, authority, celebrity, credibility, and expert status. And you want to do this so that you can be found, you want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to be what is considered omnipresent. So let me tell you a little bit about my journey. So I have been fortunate enough to be on the stages at NASDAQ, at Harvard. I was at the Media Summit and Craig Duswalt's marketing boot camp, and I've traveled all over the United States. And I even did a talk in Cuba back in 2019. So it's been fun sharing my expertise. And I operate what I might call a hybrid model. Blue Ocean Authority is hybrid because I help people find their fame. Maybe that means they're going to write a book. Maybe that means they're going to create a business or a service. And of course, I help them with their marketing and their media. So today, I want to tell you about 3 big opportunities to get massive media exposure. Number 1, I'm going to talk a little bit about the essentials for creating a media plan to grow your business. I'm going to give you some secrets about how podcast guesting can help you grow online and offline, locally and around the globe. And I want to talk about media opportunities that are absolutely everywhere. Think about it. You have events, online events, live events, books, podcasts, guest blogging, and speaking from the stage. And when I talk about speaking from the stage, that could be either virtual or live stages. And of course, you can go beyond the podcast, beyond the bestseller, and you can really even become a 6-figure podcast guest if you understand how to use it and leverage it. So it's all about reach, authority, credibility, and influence. If you look at where we've been, even in the last 10 years, video, which was big in 2010, is even bigger now. Being able to reach people, and now Facebook is calling themselves the metaverse. If you think about it, having your online presence is even more important now than it was 10 years ago. And my experience is that I call it a new media mash, because we use the best of all the old school media, newspaper, magazines, TV, radio, and we mash it up with social media and all of the new media concepts that literally are happening every day. We have new platforms just springing up all the time. So like I said, you want to be omnipresent or ubiquitous. I love the word ubiquitous because it means that you are everywhere at the same time, just like omnipresence. You're everywhere at the same time. You can be everywhere you need to be, online and offline, so that people know you are the expert, you are the authority, and you are the only choice in the sea of opportunities, hence Blue Ocean Authority. So again, I talked about it a little bit. Media means the internet, television, radio, magazines, newspapers. It is everything. You know, they put the word social in front of media. But if you think about media, it means every form that you can use to get out into the world. So that is media. So I might call it social media. I might call it the internet. I might, use any number of words, but media really does encompass the whole concept. So here's some of the things how you might want to use media. And I think this is a really good lesson. I host shows on the Business Innovators Radio Network. Radio is kind of a misnomer because it's really online TV, it's online podcasting. And when you get interviewed on a podcast, that isn't the end of the story. That's the beginning. Every interview you do really should be leveraged. And I'll talk more about that later. But many people, they think, oh, I want to get interviewed on 100 shows. That's a great goal, but just being interviewed doesn't mean that you're going to expand your online presence unless you leverage it. And that's where my expertise comes in. So I want to tell you a little bit about some of the people I've helped, including myself. Here I am. I was interviewed on Be Real, Get Real for the Women's Prosperity Network. I have my own shows, Women Innovators, Thought Leaders Show, Author Interview. I'm a regular host for the Business Innovators Network, which is in the top 5% of all podcasts. Podcasts, even if it has a very small audience, even if nobody listens to that show the day it gets recorded, that doesn't mean that it isn't going to work for you forever, because you take your own celebrity status and your own authority and you use it. You promote the shows you're on. You transcribe the shows you're on. Don't rely on other people to promote you, because they are interview next, because they're trying to get their show out to the world. You're just another interviewee. But if you take your interview and use that podcast's celebrity status or status, that's third person credibility, you can actually leverage it to your benefit. So here I am on just a few different shows over the years. And here is some other shows. Like, think about all of the shows and podcasts out there. There are more podcasts out there and more growing every day. And if you actually go into the Apple Podcasts, you can look in their alphabetical directory and find hundreds and thousands of different podcasts. And your job, if you want to become a six-figure podcast guest, would be to go and find the podcast, listen to them, give them 5-star reviews, write comments on them, and get in front of the hosts and the producers so that they will recognize you when it's time for you to ask to be a guest. They may never seek you out, no matter how famous you are, but you could put yourself in front of them and show them how you are the ideal guest for their show. If you show them first that you listen to the show, that you like the show, that you understand the show, and that you indeed would make a high quality guest for the show. These are just some examples of different shows. And there's, for example, my show, Author Interview Radio. This was when it was brand new. It had 10 episodes. Daily Success, 43. All of these different shows here, 328 episodes. That's a clue. Go ahead and see, how many shows and how many episodes. You don't know how new the show is when you're looking at it. But if you see numbers, large, high numbers, it tells you the show's been on the air quite a long time ago. Here's a good example: Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. updated 2 days ago. Well, that tells you that he's fresh. These are fresh shows. Here, 6 days ago. So just look for little things like that, and it'll help you to really understand how the shows go. Television. Here's one of my clients, Linda, and she did a Florida tour where she was on, I think, about 5 shows. She was on Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, from Fort Myers to Sarasota to Tampa on Florida's southwest coast. And she had a product that she was promoting. And in Fort Myers, it was when she was on the air, it was right at the beginning of hurricane season. And Linda ended up being invited to be on their telethon or their hurricane thing. And so she ended up being on live television for like 4 hours answering questions. So that's an example of being in the right place at the right time. And here she is. She's the crisis planner. And as you can see, we did a lot of behind the scenes photos also. And we had a really good time when we were on that tour. I went with her and I actually took photographs behind the scenes. And now she has all of these assets showing her on television that she can use for marketing for a long, long time. So Linda, her story is really interesting because Linda now has her own podcast called The Linda Bostek Show, Get Off the Worry Go Round. It's on every Tuesday. She has her books. Her book, SHIT Happens, was actually in a movie. So she had product placement. She's done book signings, TV appearances, radio. She goes on radio shows. She has her own radio show. She does products and promotions, and she is a media magnet and what I call a media magnate because she is attracting business to her through her appearances, and you can do the same thing too. So remember, I was talking about media, internet, television, radio, magazines, newspapers. Here is something that you can do also. So this is Dawn, and she has written several books, Dawn Meyer, and she's I am Purple Dawn. Okay, that is what she says. So everywhere she goes, and this is a real simple thing, she gets selfies. So she's got selfies with Nancy Matthews, Mark Porteous, Shannon Gronich, and all these different people. And just right before COVID hit, she literally became a co-host on a space show today. It was Space Today. And I'm happy to say that I introduced her to that host of that show because I was the business news director for Podcast Magazine. And it happened that I interviewed them because it was a very interesting show. And so I thought immediately of her because she really is a former rocket scientist. So look at your past, your present, and your future when it comes to media and how to leverage it. So this is Nancy Matthews. Nancy Matthews is one of the 3 sisters who started the Women's Prosperity Network. She, of course, has been featured on CBS, NBC, Fox, ABC. She's an international best-selling author. The One Philosophy is now in some schools. She's been she's helped write many anthology books with co-authors, and she has podcasts. I mean, Nancy Matthews is somebody who really knows how to leverage her status. So she's done that. And again, she's gone beyond the bestseller. And look at this slide here as a roadmap. Because if you have ever been in a multi-author book, you may have said, okay, whoopee, now what? But think about all the ways you could use that, even if it's been a while. And I want you to understand this. Anything you have done, you can leverage it. It doesn't matter how old it is. For example, here's a little roadmap that you can use. Create an Amazon Author Central page, free. It's on Amazon. Get press releases written about you and your status. You can do it locally, nationally, internationally, globally. Social media shares. Share it in emails, make videos, do Facebook Lives, be a podcast guest as often as possible. Think about it. If you do one podcast a month, by the end of a year, you'll have 12 digital assets to promote. Let's say you do it twice a month. All of a sudden now you've got 24, 3 times. It adds up to 36. Let's say you did it once a week. You'd have 52 digital assets that you can transcribe, turn into blogs. You can cut them up and have little 1 to 2 minute sound bites. You can do a lot with video and podcasting. You can go on a virtual book tour. You can do real life book signings, more press releases. Press releases are the least understood of all of the media things that I do. People think one is enough. No, one is a beginning. You should be doing press releases for every single cool thing you do, every podcast, every book, every event, everything you do. If you use a press release, what happens is that will 100x, 500x, 1000x, depending on how many pickups it gets. And if you put a video in it, press releases are probably one of your best and least expensive methods of getting the word out about you and growing your online footprint. Books. Having books, I probably have done about, 30 to 40 books now. And my books range anywhere from journals to chapters in other people's books, chapters in my own books, books that I've written. I did Beyond the Bestseller. I have a book called Ask Tammy. Ask Tammy was my very first book. And it was Ask Tammy, 365 social media tips, tricks, and tools. That book, I bet I've only probably sold 50 copies. However, I made more than $1 million from that book. Why? Because it gave me credibility. It gave me authority. It gave me a reason to put a press release out. It gave others a reason to talk about me. All of these books give people a reason to talk about me. It shows that when I say, hey, let's publish a book, hey, I've done it. If I have an Author Central page, I have one. Hey, that tells people I know what I'm doing. I have the podcast. And what I discovered when I did my Women Innovators podcasts and books was that I was running into these women who had these big messages and big missions. It was huge. And so I started to use that big message, big mission, women innovators. And I've spoken now to hundreds and hundreds of women about their journeys, about their messages, about their big missions. And I've included them in my books. I met a bunch of really cool people at Harvard. So I actually put together the Thought Leaders Show because these people were thought leaders from all over the world who came to Harvard to talk about business and inventions and really cool things. So I developed the Thought Leaders Show. Here again, here's Nancy. And I bring this up because so many people, they're like, okay, I go to all these events and you can even do this in a virtual event, but this was a live event. And Nancy actually did a live event. And so she's at a live event and she does a Facebook Live. And she wanted to win this iPad. I guess they were having a competition. So she got online and she says, "Hey, everybody, I'm doing this tip event thing at this live event. Help me." She provided 3 tips that she learned at this blog and video con. And then she did a call to action like, click here, help me, thank you, the gratitude, talked a little bit about the win philosophy, came back a little later and goes, "Hey, everybody, look, I won," because she followed the directions. She did a live, and then she ended up winning an iPad. Think about if you just use your imagination, you can do things like that too. Again, it's all about media. And again, social media, you've got TikToks, you've got Facebook, you have LinkedIn, you have Twitter, whatever media you like, but don't forget, you have radio, which is both terrestrial, which means offline, and online. You have television, offline, online, newspapers, magazines, internet. Media is the key. Here, back in 2014, I love this because I wrote an article in the beginning of 2014. It was actually the end of 2013, now that I see it here. And it says, 2014 is the year of the author, big wise to write an expert book. Okay, this is still as valid today as it was in 2014. Writing a book and creating yourself as an authority, telling people who you are. The best way to write a book or to do a video series is the top 10 frequently asked questions, the top 10 should ask questions, and then, of course, your calls to action. And there you go. You could have a nice little Kindle book or a nice little paperback book. Here's some press releases. Small Business Trendsetters has been around for a while. Here's a press release I wrote about myself, talking about that I was featured at the New Media Summit with Steve Olsher. Okay, this particular article, if you notice, it has a listen to the article. I can share it on LinkedIn, at the time, Google+, Twitter, and Facebook. Google+ no longer exists. But as you can see, I wrote an article about myself, basically saying that I was speaking at this event, which I did. And so I had an opportunity to talk all about myself. And when I did it, I actually included a paragraph where I named names of other people that I shared the stage with. In this other one, Authority Press Wire, is that I was speaking about TV media exposure at Craig Duswalt's Rockstar Marketing. And if you notice, I included a video there so people could see me. And the beautiful thing about when you include a video in a press release, guess what happens? That video gets picked up in the Google and in the search engines, and now that video is all over the place. So that's a little secret. This is important. And again, celebrity and credibility. This is what it means. As seen on means you were on TV. As seen on means you were on those TV networks. As featured in typically means that you were featured in a magazine article, and it could be in the paper version or the digital, featured in like a newspaper, featured in a magazine. As heard on, you could say that for a audio podcast or radio show. So you want to always be 100% honest about, were you seen on those stations, meaning were you on TV? Were you featured in? Were you featured in an article that was published by that media? or were you heard? So podcasts, if it's a video podcast, then you could say you were seen on it and heard on it. So just think about it. Always be honest, and then you won't ever have any feeling that it's incongruent with who you are, because it's real and authentic. That's really important. So also, I've worked with people on the Today Show and with TED and Medium, ABC, NBC, CBS, Forbes, Fox News, CW, WCKG. I am an international best-selling author, and I'm a host on the Business Innovators Network. So all of these things are 100% true and accurate. So now I just want to say, if you want to get massive media exposure and win the race, reach, authority, credibility, celebrity, and expert status, reach out to me. I'm easy to find, Tamara Patzer, anywhere on social media, and check it out. And I believe I have a free gift that goes with this video. Get the free gift. Feel free to reach out to me. And again, if you want to be a six-figure podcast guest, you absolutely positively can, because podcasting and video television and using press releases to leverage everything you do can really help you. So again, I just want to say thank you. And again, if I can be a speaker at NASDAQ, if I can be on Thrive TV, if I can do book signings, if I can be on TV all over the country, New Mexico, Tampa, California, San Diego, Los Angeles, be featured on the stages along with very famous people like Michael Gerber, and actually ebook Michael Gerber, Mike Koenigs, Nancy Matthews. There's all these different people that I forget sometimes who they are, but you can do it too. So reach out, let's have a conversation and go from there. Again, this is Tammy Patzer. I've really enjoyed sharing this with you, and I will go ahead and close for now. Thank you so much.